Welcome to C-Fan Sports, the channel that is dedicated to the nation of Seattle sports fans. My name is Dave. This is my buddy Kevin. Hopefully we can bring you some entertainment for the next 10, 15 minutes and teach you a little bit or give you some information on the Seattle Seahawks right now. Just for you guys to know, if you guys like the content that we're putting out there, please subscribe, turn on your notifications. Please leave us comments. We love comments. We want to be able to read those and maybe address some of that stuff on the air. So let's go ahead and get into it. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. It's another day, beautiful day.
Okay.
Just smiling away, get to talk about sports. Absolutely our favorite thing in the whole world.
That's exactly right. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about what went wrong with the Seattle Seahawks in 2020, the problems. And you know, again, it's a 12-4 team, but if you listen to anybody that's talking about football and the Seattle Seahawks, our offensive line comes up every time. You know, Russell's talking about it. You know, all the national pundits are talking about it. So I went into Pro Football Focus and I kind of did some digging and just to see, you know, where we are as far as a unit, according to them. That's kind of where I did today. First of all, last season, where do you think that we ranked, Kevin, as far as the team?
Overall,
not as a team, but as an offensive line overall.
probably in the middle of the pack.
We were 14th. So a little bit better than the middle. We were the 14th ranked offensive line in the National Football League last year. We were 16th ranked in pass protection. So dead middle. You know, what the pundits want to make you sound like is that the sky is falling. You know, we have the worst offensive line in the National Football League. So Russell makes his comments. John Schneider puts on his working coat and goes out and makes some moves and doesn't make other moves. And so I kind of want to feel around and see where we were with that. So the first thing we got is our left tackle, Dwayne Brown. Dwayne is 5th of 79 tackles in the NFL. 5th best. Probably one of his best years last year.
Yeah.
You know, he was solid. He allowed 2 sacks all year long. You know, I can't say enough good about what Dwayne Brown does. And one of the nice things for Stone Forsyth is he gets to come in and learn behind him. Again, we've said it probably to death.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
The next one that we have there is our left guard. So Damian Lewis is going to move from right guard, which he played last year, to left guard.
Okay.
So we're going to have Dwayne Brown and we're going to have Damian Lewis. Now, of the 80 guards in the league, Kevin, he ranked 13th.
I can believe that.
13th in his rookie season.
Had a great
13th. Had an amazing season. He even played a game at center.
I know.
Amazing season. Now we come to Ethan Posek, probably our weakest link. Of the 36 centers that played significant time in the NFL last year, he was ranked 26th. Now, a couple caveats to that. First year playing that in the NFL. First full season at that. You know, like we've talked about, we've got a couple guys behind him that are going to give him some competition. Will Fuller, you know, if he comes out on top again, and he continues to not improve, and he's still 26 next year, I know without a shadow of a doubt that they will find a replacement for him next year. But I think they want to give him one more year. Yeah,
well, I think you and I talked about it during our undrafted free agent. Your pick to make
Lesage. Yes.
I mean, if he's as solid as they say he is, then, you know, we always talk about it. Pete and John, it's competition, man.
Love that competition.
I 100% believe that there's going to be competition. I don't think the job's his.
No.
He has to earn it.
I think he does as well. But I have a feeling he comes out of camp with that. Unless there's a surprise cut from another team, you know, in training camp. Wherever it is, you know, they have always brought people in, you know, from crazy places after cuts, and center position might be one.
Yep.
Then we're going to move on to our big acquisition. And I was real excited until I kind of dove into the numbers. And then I kind of went, and then I got real excited again. So let me explain how that works, Kevin. The first of all, he was 40th of 80. So I looked at that, and that's exactly the face I made. But then I looked at the last couple of years, okay? 2019, he was 11th. 2018, he was 13th.
Wow.
So last year, he had a down year. You know, if you look at the Raiders and what they did or didn't do last year, they were kind of a mess.
Yeah.
And I think he might have lost a little bit of zest to play for that team.
Right.
And you know, whether we want to say that's good or bad, because you know we want people that are going to come in and ball out, but on the other side, it's hard to play for a franchise that flounders like them. It's just the simple fact.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can't get up for every game. Well, I mean, he's professional. He's getting paid millions, so he should be performing at his highest level every. But there could have been some injuries that we didn't know about. There could have been some situations with not being happy there. I mean, we don't know.
They thought well enough of him to give him an $11 million contract. That's a high contract for guards in the league. In fact, there was an interview with Gruden where he said, "There's no way I'll get rid of Gabe Jackson." And well, here we are. He's going to be starting at right tackle for your Seattle Seahawks
for a fifth rounder.
For a fifth round draft pick. Then the last one, Brandon Shell. Okay. Brandon is 38 of 79.
Wow.
So another one right darn in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing, he allowed 3 sacks last year. Just kind of backing up to Gabe Jackson. Here's something also that made me excited a little bit. He allowed 0 sacks last year.
Wow.
0. So, you know, again, something to hear and see and get excited about. I think we've improved. You know, if you just add up those numbers and you look down the line, you know, we've got some guys that are the middle of the pack. We got Ethan Posek, who's coming in, who's got another year under his belt. He's learned. He's been able to take over that position and feel a little bit better that he's going to be got some experience behind him. You know, and then of course we got the solid rock with Dwayne Brown.
Well, and also our right tackle he got injured for like 3 or 4. The first half of the year he was solid, and then he got hurt. And so if you look back, I mean, what was his numbers at the beginning of the season compared to the end of the season when he was injured all year?
Right. Exactly. So, and then, you know, I think we want to just kind of include our tight ends in there. Gerald Everett was 41st out of 79. And Will Dissly was 39th out of 79. So, you know, but again, going into Gerald Everett's numbers, the 2 years previous, he was 12th in 2019. And in 2018, he was the 5th highest rated tight end in the league.
Wow.
So, you know, again, you know, Jared Goff, they got rid of him for a reason. And that's probably because he couldn't complete a lot of passes to the tight end that they wanted to, or that he was doing the 2 years previous. State of the offensive line, you know, from outside in, I think a lot of our growth and development is going to land kind of on Ethan Posek. He's the linchpin. He's the center position. Right. So, you know, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. You know, he's the make it or break it. I think we got the people to fill the spots and to be a better offensive line than was last year, but he's got to step up and make it better.
All right. So the next question that I heard, well, our cornerbacks were awful. They're horrible.
Terrible.
Just terrible. And so I wanted to kind of, jumped into our cornerbacks, and there was 121 cornerbacks last year that received grades on Pro Football Focus. Now, Kevin, I got shocked, surprised, and a little excited when I started reading through all those. It's a myriad of emotions happening all at one time. I was crazy. So the first thing I looked at is I wanted to see what we gave up, because I liked Shaquille Griffin. It was a great story. He was ranked 49th out of 121 cornerbacks.
He got paid.
Yeah, and he got paid. He got paid. But do you know who was the 6th best cornerback last year in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus?
I would say somebody we picked up in the offseason. I won't mention names or anything.
No, we're gonna mention names. Akilla Witherspoon, number 6, 6th rated according to Pro Football Focus, cornerback. We picked him up for peanuts.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Now, the year before that, we picked up another kid named DJ Reed. DJ Reed just came in, balled out 14th.
And he was only there half the year.
Yeah, exactly. He was the 14th highest. And then, Ugo Amadi, our slot corner, 41st.
Nice.
Trey Flowers, 86th, but, we all can't be perfect.
No.
But, again, Trey Flowers has the opportunity because it's an open competition to come in and show what he's worked on in the offseason and show us that he could be that starting outside cornerback. It's completely in his court. I would like to see something out of him, but if we don't, he'll be down the road.
And then we got a new guy competing, Trey Brown. So
yeah, we got Trey in there. So there's quite a few. We have quite a few cornerbacks in camp that are going to be able to fill out that roster, those roster spots.
Yep.
Then I looked at the safeties, and we have 3 safeties that were rated. Ryan Neal, came out of nowhere.
Loved it.
He's 70th.
Wow.
70th out of 94 safeties. From a kid that didn't have a chance to make an NFL roster to be him, this 70 of the top 94 safeties in the NFL. I'll take it.
Yep.
Now again, Kevin, there's a little bit of concern on my part when I read the next 2 because I thought Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs felt pretty good about. However, Jamal Adams, 53rd out of 94, and Quandre Diggs, 52 out of 94.
Wow.
Little disappointed. Okay.
Yeah. However,
yes.
I was gonna say, Jamal is an athlete.
He is.
He's not your typical safety.
He had the even though he still had a 53 rating, he had the number 1 pass rush ability or pass rush rating. But that's kind of what takes me to my next thing. In 2019, he was the 5th rated safety, and in 2018, he was the 2nd highest rated safety. And Quandre Diggs was 23 and 31. So both of those guys have performed better than they did last year. For some reason, they struggled a bit. And so, and it looked like they were starting to click towards the end of the season. And I think that could carry over into 2021.
And I think Jamal Adams was hurt half the year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing, he should have had a cast on his arm for a couple games. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was playing injured. I mean, what was his shoulder he separated or something like that? I mean,
broke fingers. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I thought Quandre could have done a little bit better last year because I thought he played better the year before. But, he's trying to make up for, the Ryan Neal's out there. So,
but I think that it's still a strength.
It is
on our team.
Yeah.
I think that those 2 have the opportunity to continue to get better and grow as a tandem.
Yes.
And I think that the next position of concern that everybody has as far as the Seahawks go is our defensive line. So I kind of dug into them to see A, what we gave up, and B, what we currently brought in to replace some of the people that we have. First thing that we gave up was Jaren Reed.
Yep.
I thought he would be way higher than he was rated. 89th out of 125 rated defensive tackles is where Jaren Reed is at.
I thought he would have been a little higher than that.
Yeah, exactly. I was blown away. 89th, according to Pro Football Focus, 89th out of 125. Guess who was 15, Kevin?
Poona
Ford.
Poona.
I like
Poona.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
Poona Ford comes in at 15. That is why John Schneider makes the money that John Schneider does, because John Schneider said, you know what? Hey, Jaren, we'd love to have you come back, but we're going to have you come back at this number. We even offered him basically the same amount of money he was making. They were just going to restructure it different. And he thought that we were disrespecting him. But on paper, you're the 89th defensive tackle.
Right.
And you feel that you have a bargaining power? There you go. Another guy that we lost, not last year, but a couple of years ago. I thought, well, gosh, Frank Clark has to be tearing it up. No, he is the 93rd defensive end out of 109.
Wow.
93rd, according to Pro Football Focus. Here's the thing. Kerry Hyder Jr. is 40 out of 109. Okay, that's our highest defensive end right now. Alton Robinson, 47.
Wow.
6th-round draft pick. Alton Robinson, 47.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's very encouraging. LJ Collier was 89. LJ Collier came in ahead of him. You know, who would have ever thought that was going to happen? Not me.
Not me either.
The simple fact is that, you know, we have taken some flyers on some guys, brought them in here. Your boy is 63rd. Dunlap, 63rd out of the 109. So, you know
where Benson Mayo it was?
I don't remember, Kevin. I believe it was in the 70s is where he was at. So, you know, we've got some guys that, you know, are middle of the pack. Poona is our highest rated defensive lineman. And, you know, I think that Kerry Hyder Jr., when he's on the field full time, he's going to be another one that's going to be high. He's going to be highly rated. Yep. And, you know, Darrell Taylor hasn't even stepped foot on the field. So we'll see exactly what this defensive line can do about putting pressure on the quarterback. I know for a fact it's going to be better than what we had last year at the beginning of the year, because that was historically bad.
Yeah.
So, and our linebackers, we only had 2 linebackers that were rated. Little Bobby Wagner, 2nd.
Yep.
You know, all he does is comes and puts on the cap and just goes and produces. 2nd highest rated linebacker, Bobby Wagner. Now, Jordan Brooks, 56th, but against the run, he was 2nd.
Nice.
The 2nd highest rated linebacker against the run was or not 2nd, but 5th. Sorry.
5th.
My facts are all messed up in my head. So, yeah, he was, for a rookie, he came in, he balled out. Not a lot of depth at the 2nd level right now. Gosh, that is something I hope we address in the next coming weeks. I know that you and I have talked about KJ.
Yep.
I know that you and I have talked about, you know, some other possibilities that are rolling around out there. You know, they've talked about moving Darrell Taylor to the strong side linebacker.
Yep.
You know, if that's where he can do, if he can come off the ball from a standing position and hold that edge, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
You know, then we get some production out of him. But again, so our defense overall, so the 2 main questions that we had, I think, coming out of 2020 was A, can we protect Russell Wilson? And B, can our defense perform better than the worst defense in the NFL, which is where it started out last year, coming in and sliding into the middle of the pack?
Right.
How do you feel that do you think we've addressed those concerns?
Yes. Now, we haven't addressed my concern yet.
Okay.
We had this conversation. I still have an issue with the running back.
We only had 1 running back that was rated.
Yeah, and he was probably rated very, very low.
He was 12. He was 12.
Wow.
He was the 12th rated running back.
So he's in the middle of the pack, but
he's upper middle.
If he can stay healthy, I don't have an issue.
Yeah, if Chris Carson can bring a bruising style and stay healthy, yeah.
I can't count on him to stay healthy.
Not for a whole season.
No.
I mean, he hasn't done it yet. But this is a contract year. I mean, this is where he's going to set up his big payday.
Yep.
You know, that's why he's back with us. So I think that we're going to get everything plus some from Chris Carson this year.
We know Richard's on a contract year, so
Richard's on a contract year. I think that Alex Collins has got some incentive to come out and play hard. This may be his last chance at a contract.
Right.
And then Travis Homer and DJ Dallas, we'll see what we can get out of them. I think having Russell is going to make everybody better. Our receivers, of course, we have DK Metcalf was 15th rated.
Yep.
And Tyler Lockett was 32nd. They're our big two. Throwing Dwayne Eskridge in there and making a 3-receiver set just that much harder to defend. And then, I think that with a more quick-paced offense that Waldron's going to bring, I think that it's definitely going to be something that's going to hopefully protect our running backs and make them last a little bit longer than grinding them into the ground, which Seattle's been known to do.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, any other concerns that you saw? Because I'm chock full of knowledge today, Kevin.
Well, you asked me to talk about what went wrong in 2020 and, how did we address it? And I think you covered the addressing it very, very well. But how did it go wrong? Where did it go wrong? What happened? Well, I found some stats today that I thought was pretty significant. An article I read from ESPN. I'm not sure the author of it. I didn't write it down. Sorry. In the first half of the season, we had basically a 19% high 2 cover against us in the first, I think, 7 or 9 games. I'm not sure how. However, in the final 9 games, it increased to 28% of the time other teams were in high 2 cover. In weeks 10 against the Rams and weeks 13 against the Giants, week 10 against the Rams was 48% of the time they were in high 2 cover. Against week 13 against the Giants, 50% of the time.
They exploited a weakness.
Here's the thing. And we didn't fix it.
No.
We had ego issues, in my opinion. That's why we don't have an offensive coordinator. We got a new offensive coordinator.
Well, I tell you what, Kevin, you and I have discussed it a couple times. I think the confidence on both the coaching staff and I think the confidence on Russell Wilson can be boiled down to one play. It was 2nd and 5. We were on the 25-yard line against the Rams. Russell had rolled out to his right. He had all day. He could have ran for that 5 yards. He could have ran almost to a touchdown. But he tried to throw a pass to the opposite corner to Will Dissly, and he was intercepted by Janoris Jenkins. I look back at that play as the play that kind of, where we lost confidence and both quarterback and the coaching staff lost confidence in each other. Russell is like, hey, I can carry it. And the coaching staff, after that game, Kevin, as I also did a little bit of research today again, we threw for 40 less yards per game after that game. We rushed for about the same, but our passing yards were about 40 yards less in the last remaining 7 games of the season. However, another thing I was kind of astounded when I looked at that fact, we only lost 1 game in that time, and that was to the Giants. I think that we felt that we could overcome with Russell and the defense and play the ball or the possession game that we've been known to do, where we're going to punt and then play field position game all day long. And I think that caught up with us in the playoffs. And they were in that double high safety, took Russell completely out of his game. We couldn't take those shots. We couldn't spread the field.
We've talked about it forever. You and I have, is the team and Russell don't take what other teams give them. Hey, if they're going to play a high 2 safety, you dump it across the middle. Let your receivers get yak.
And not only that, but let our Will Dissly only had 37 targets all last season.
Exactly. Think about it. When you have DK Metcalf on your team, throw the ball to him 5 yards and let him run.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but I watched the video of
he's fast.
For his size, he was like a foot taller than everybody else and like 3 times the size of everybody else. And he didn't lose he was right in the mix of it. If it would have stopped at 60 yards, he could have been in the top 3.
Yep.
I mean, he's that fast. So
Absolutely.
why are we not taking what they give us and let the receivers, especially DK Metcalf, get the yards after catch? I mean, Will Dissly. Now we got Gerald Everett. I mean, we got to do this stuff. I mean, and not only that, it gets the ball out of Russell's hand faster. Now, I get that Russell is the magic man. I mean, he can turn something into nothing, or nothing into something, sorry. And he's just gifted at that. I mean, sometimes he holds onto the ball and you're like, oh, Russell, just throw it. And then he throws this amazing thing, like to Tyler Lockett in the end zone with half of Tyler's body falling out of the end zone. I mean, It's amazing what he can do, but I don't want to rely on that.
Well, and that's the whole reason we bought Waldron in, is they
Correct.
want that up tempo, faster completion, ball comes out of his hands faster. He pushed and Russell pushed for this to get Waldron. And so now we've got what he thinks is the right offensive coordinator. We have the skilled position players around him with Everett, Eskridge, with DK and Tyler, and we have all those guys. So there's going to be less stress on the offensive line to hold those blocks longer and more, and getting that ball out quicker, and then getting our receivers in space and giving them a chance to run. And I think with that being done, our offense will perform, and we're going to put more pressure on the opposing offense to stay up with us, which is going to mean that they're going to be passing more. And that's just going to, I think, go to the strength of our defense.
Yeah. 3 comments. Pete Carroll, he always says you don't win in the first quarter, you win in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
You also have Pete complaining that the ball needs to come out quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So then you got Russell, who has always wanted to up tempo, to just take charge of the game and play lights out from beginning to end, not just in the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
So I think if you could find that happy mix, that the ball's coming out faster, they're quick to the huddle. I mean, it's a hurry up kind of offense in Russell's favor. And then you mix in the tight ends and do what's available. And Shane's got a tough job ahead of him, but I think if he can somehow make that happy mix, once again, optimistic, but I think if we can do that, if we can fix that, I think we fix the defense, and for the most part, if we can stay healthy. If we can fix that, because that would help the offensive line, it would help the running game, it would help everything. If we can do that, there isn't any reason we can't be hosting the Lombardi Trophy.
Well, on that note, Kevin, I think we should call this a wrap, throw it in the can, and I will see you next week for some more Seahawks talk.
You got it. Peace out.
Peace.